Hey guys, this is Nadine Hsu, and this is my children's book about drifting.
You're listening to the Still 80 Mania podcast. I'm your host, Benson Hsu, and this is Storytime. Gather around, boys and girls. We have a new guest in for this Storytime series. We have a first-time author, ladies and gentlemen. She is an entrepreneur, a photographer, a bookkeeper. I would say she is a leader in various social causes, and so I want to introduce you to my wife, first-time author, Nadine Hsu. Also, you might know her as the co-host of this podcast.
Hi, honey buns.
Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm good. I feel at home.
You feel, yeah. Why do you feel at home?
Look where we are. I'm driving. You're in the passenger seat.
That's right.
It's home.
We are in your drift car.
Yeah. I love it.
It might sound different, but I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it
it's like
turns
our
out.
little recording studio.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you are listening on audio only, we are in her drift car. She's sitting in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat. Is that like a metaphor for life or something?
Oh,
or
God.
a relationship?
Yeah.
I made the conscious decision not to sit in the driver's seat. I was like, I don't know where she wants to sit, but I can't sit in the driver's seat because this is your book. This is your car. You are I need you to show everyone that, women can be bosses, and they can drive the bus, they can drive the car, and it's okay for me to sit passenger, support you, let you know you're making a wrong turn or whatever.
Yes.
But yes, we are in the passenger seat of your drift car. And you're here today because you wrote a book.
I did.
So let the audience know how this came about. Like what led up to this happening?
So I have, we have 4 daughters, right?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of people around me writing books. Maybe friend of a friend or, whatever. And I see there's a lot of new authors coming up. But none of them, they write about things that are kind of just common, just everyday things. But then nobody writes about female heroines that are Asian American that do cool things like racing cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it a point to do a bunch of searches for girl racer book or race car book.
Yeah.
I did all these searches to see if there is any book that exists, and it's there are no books in the library or on Amazon or online of women that race cars. And it's really disappointing because I raced cars starting 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And how is it from the beginning of time till 2022 that there's no children's books that have an Asian American girl that races cars? There's not even a white girl that races cars. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's super hello, how easy is it? It's
Right.
just an easy concept. And
When the grand scheme of things, we've only had Danica Patrick for so long, and 20 years for us is a lot, but maybe not in the big picture.
yeah.
But I definitely think it's time, and I'm glad that it is a woman racer that wrote a book about women racers.
Yes. Yes.
I think that would be different if a guy wrote it, or so.
Yeah.
I think it definitely takes one of the women trailblazers who actually raced cars to write the book. So I think, although I wish it was earlier, I think this is the right time for it.
Yes, I think more now than ever. And just on top of that, I'm Hapa, which means I'm of mixed Asian ancestry. So my mom is like Scottish and I don't know, many different kinds of white. And my dad is a first generation Japanese citizen.
Yeah.
He was born in Japan. And so I'm Hapa and I've always identified as being such. And, you know, I'm not just white or I'm not just Japanese, I'm Hapa, and it's just a completely different breed. And there are not a lot of books by Hapa authors either, and especially Hapa women authors. You know, I mean, there are, but it's just not, they're not out there enough. And so that's like, there's so many reasons like why this book is like at the crossroads of like all these buckets I'm trying to fill.
There's
you know?
so many. Yeah. I mentioned earlier about social causes, and there's a lot of different social causes
Yeah.
kind of involved in the book. So we have female racing, female empowerment. We have the whole AAPI thing, right? And where does that stem from? Like, okay, the book talks about. Oh, what's the name of the book?
Oh, yeah. We gotta back up.
Let's back up.
My book is called Sachiko Goes Racing.
Yeah.
And it is a book about, it's actually a book series. So it's a children's book series for ages 4 to 8, or maybe even like newborn to 8, because y'all need to be reading this to your baby so
right.
they understand from like day 1. And yeah, I mean, it's a book based on my experiences as a race car driver. And, I have so many stories to tell. So I didn't just write one book. It's going to be a series. And I'm like excited because there's so many lessons I learned and things that I went through that really, molded and shaped my life and set the foundation to like, set me up to do greater things.
Yeah.
And it all kind of started with drifting. And, you know, I want to share those experiences with kids because I learned so much. And there's just so many really cool stories to tell and challenges that I face that I want to share with people. So yeah, that's the book. Sachiko Goes Racing. Sachiko is my middle name and also my Japanese name and my grandmother's name and like my photo studio's name and
like, as someone who if someone doesn't speak Japanese and they read that, a lot of people might say Sachiko, right? But you're setting the record straight. It's not Sachiko. The proper way is, say it again?
Sachiko.
Sachiko.
Yes.
So kind of like the HIK is really a HK, right? You skip that I a little bit.
Yeah, I guess
Sachiko.
so. Whatever you can do to like make it work, but it's Sachiko. And that's been my name and a lot of my Japanese friends call me Sachiko. And you know, I've built my business based on Sachiko, and Sachiko, if in Japanese, it actually means like happy little girl.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's perfect to use that in the book.
You mentioned earlier about how drifting kind of, it led to where you are today with all the lessons that you learned.
Yep.
And I definitely think that drifting is very empowering for everyone who tries it, who gets good at it. It is a self-esteem builder, a confidence builder. It presents you with challenges and not only on the track, but life challenges, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with adversity with, you know, I gotta pay for tires and I don't have money, or, you know.
Or like, I crashed my car.
And there are so many life lessons that drifting teaches you that we don't really think about.
Yeah.
And so that applies to everyone, female, non-female.
Yeah. I feel like it's done so much for me. And no matter if you're a guy or a girl, like drifting probably changes a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
And it can't just be me saying like, oh, because I'm a girl, it changed my life. Like, no, it changed my life and really made me who I am today. And I think I did the most growing as a person during my time in drifting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you, in your time drifting, did you face any adversities or challenges or life lessons that you learned as an Asian American?
Yeah, I mean, I think that being Asian American, you're typecasted and stereotyped to be quiet and submissive and not really like go outside the boundaries.
Yeah.
And so like it's kind of like if you're an Asian girl, like the drifting and the racing thing is not like you don't step into that, you step over that boundary to get in there, like it just socially it's awkward, right? Like
Yeah.
people are like, oh, no, you don't.
It's kind of not socially acceptable as a...
It's not. And there's people that meet me and they're like, you?
Yeah.
You know, and every time someone does that, like you or oh you dress like you know, you don't look like you should be doing
Yeah.
that. And so it was a combination
That's just
of like
stacked on top of
yeah.
the fact that you're female
Yeah,
and
sexism,
Asian.
being racist, stereotyping Asians as like quiets and stuff. And it sucks too because I'm Hapa,
Yeah.
right? And so then they're like, you Asians. And I'm like, no, I'm Hapa. It's different. And then it's just all these things compounding that I
Yeah.
always had to deal with. So yeah, it's like Asian American racism and like people being like not in the know about being Hapa and
Yeah.
stereotyping females.
We just watched that Jeremy Lin
Yes,
documentary.
we did. What is
30
it called? 38?
38. Is it just 38? I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's on HBO Max. It's about Jeremy Lin. So we're a little bit fired up today about
yes,
about
yes.
AAPI and
It's the same, I
awareness,
mean,
and
It's the same thing.
it's
you
the
know?
same thing.
Same thing.
We've all gone through it, and we often just go through it, and we think to ourselves, this is just life, and we sweep it under the rug and just
Yeah.
keep grinding, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to be reminded that this is a challenge for us, and not everyone faces the same challenges, and so.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, I'm. That's great. Like I love that you're bringing about awareness with. I mean, the name says it all, right? You see Sachiko and you know, oh, that's Asian. So that's great, and I hope one, you bring about awareness for your name, how to say Sachiko, and like I think it's really cool for Asian little Asian kids, kids that look like us, to be able to see that they're in books and be inspired to do something great.
Yeah, that's
So-
the plan.
So this first book that you just released, what is it about?
So this is the lead-in book to the series, right? So step one, Sachiko's gotta go racing. And
Yeah.
she dreams about it and she thinks about it. She meets a guy named Benson
Yeah.
that does it, and she
Dressed
falls.
like this?
Yes.
We're actually wearing what our
yeah.
characters wear in the book, right?
We are. And so, that book kind of shows the moment that I probably fell in love with Benson. And it was really funny because I was doing a book party and I was reading the book and someone was like, when did you fall in love with Benson? Or they're talking about it. And then I flipped to the page where I get in the car with Benson and I'm like, that's where we fell in love. So it's kind of sweet, but very true. Like,
I was
true
drifting.
story.
You
were driving.
I was showing you
were
my
in the drive.
moves.
You were showing his moves. Yes. And so you were in your black Salady, and that was like the moment that I probably fell in love with drifting and fell in love with you. So anyway, yeah. But that's in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sachiko like falls in love with the book with racing in the book, and then the book is
Well,
about.
the book is very PG. We're there's no love in the book. We're
No.
just friends, right?
It's not about you.
But if you know the story,
you know,
you know,
you
right?
know,
Mhm.
you know, and maybe later in the book series there'll be love.
Yeah,
There's room for that.
like the teenage novel.
I don't know. I mean, my character drives cars, but she's a kid, so anything could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the book is just about Sachiko's journey to go racing and like can she do it and what she does to prepare and the inner demons that she faces. Too, because a lot of my girlfriends and I, like, we get in our head big time about like racing and we think about consequences and like what are people going to think, and we worry about what people think of us. And so my character in the book like kind of goes through that and gets really worried and kind of sets it up to where it's like, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
And that's like straight up like how it was for me. And guys, I'm sure like you all like get in your head too, but I feel like me and my girlfriends especially, like we all kind of like think too much about it, because women are very like calculated and we think about consequences and we're careful.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
it was very, I think it's probably still unique for women on the track just because it's different, right?
Yeah.
It's sadly enough, it's still different today.
Yeah. And we're just programmed that way. I mean, it's not we can't do it. It's just a
definitely.
different challenge.
But I'm saying women to men ratio on the track.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just based on that alone, people are noticing you. And so you are more under a microscope than anybody else. So, men, I feel like, don't really have to deal with that. Unless maybe you are, maybe you go to Japan and you're like the only foreigner at the track. Maybe you would feel it then. Or, but otherwise, I don't think, men are very privileged to not generally feel that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're in a sea of other dudes.
Yeah.
And women, it's not the same. It would be the end of the world or pigs be flying if I went to an event and be like, oh, this is all girls and no guys. Those are the kind of events that I create, but like it doesn't happen on its own.
Yeah.
So
it's happened a couple of times in NorCal with Phoebe that I know of, and it happens in Japan.
Shout out Phoebe for sure. And from back in when we were doing Drifting Pretty, we would do Dori Puri, which was an all-female drifting competition, and no one knows about it because it's just like it's this underground thing that we would do, and we'd have all the females come, and so it was just but it's always been kind of one of those rare things, right? Like specialty. Very.
I think we got off topic.
I know.
We were talking about the book.
We were talking about the book. Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, Sachiko goes through those challenges, and you got to read the rest of the book, which I'm going to actually do on the podcast.
Yeah, stay
today.
tuned.
So,
don't go anywhere because we're going to have a special book reading on the podcast.
Yes. And I'm excited to read the book to you guys. This book is for little boys and little girls, and I really want kids to know that they can dream and do anything they really want to do. And Sachiko dreamt about becoming a race car driver, and she did, and it's not a big deal. So I that's kind of like I want little boys and little girls to read it, and I also want little boys to read it and understand that it's not like an abnormal thing for a girl to race cars either. So if it's around our kids in books and on TV, then when they grow up, there won't be any like, oh, you're not supposed to be driving, or like, because see, we've all been pre-programmed because like we're older, and it's just, so we've been pre-programmed that it's kind of a rare and weird thing. Yeah. And cool, but still rare, and kind of like, oh, you don't look like you're supposed to be, but I want to get rid of that with the book. So then just, every kid will read it, and it's like, oh yeah, girls race cars, see, like in the book, like, So those are like so many, like we said earlier, like so many layered reasons why this book had to be written. And I'm just excited that it's a series that, it doesn't stop with book one, because there's just so much more that I have to share.
Yeah.
So
how exciting. Yeah. So how did you go from just like, how did you have the idea of writing a book? That is so... I mean, I think a lot of people maybe... I don't even know if a lot of people even dream about writing a book, or, but the fact that you came up with the idea and that you actually went through with it, how did that happen?
I'm surrounded by really awesome creatives in my life. My daughter, she's a graduate of Art Center. And if you don't know about Art Center is like the best, one of the most prestigious art colleges that any child can go to. Like any college student. I have some
awesome car trivia for the listeners about Art Center.
Oh, yes.
The beloved Mazda RX-7 FD was designed at Art Center. I don't know
Oh,
if it's designed at Art Center or designed from
like an
a
art
designer
center.
graduate. But
Probably. Like an
yeah.
art center graduate.
But you
Yeah.
can thank Art Center for the FD, basically.
Yes, yes. And art center, like if you're in the design world and you're a designer, and you say, I went to art center, it's like, it's that prestige.
Yeah.
But anyway, our daughter went there. One of her besties went there, and her bestie, Yuka Oiwa, who's the book illustrator, she works for me doing murals at my studio all the time. And, they're so great to be around. And when I was missing that book, I was just like, how hard is it to write a book?
Yeah.
Because there's no books I can buy my poor kids to read.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how hard is it? So I kind of, when I do something, I just kind of learn everything I can possibly do about it and then see, I don't know. I have no fear. It's just, I wanted to do it because I couldn't find any books on my own. And, I think someone else might have tried to write a book about girls racing, and it was done very poorly, and I'm not going to mention it. And I was inspired by her book because it was great that it was done, but it was done. It just wasn't.
That's how. I mean, that's what is that called? I mean, I don't remember in economics. There's a term for it, but you felt like you could do that, but better.
Yeah, it was
And
like
so that's how civilization progresses, right?
Yes. It's like, Tesla wanted to make a electric car better than someone else, or,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, so I saw that and I was just like, no, you can't do it like this. Like, we got to go right and we got to go big. And I got to get the best illustrators I know and print it beautifully and distribute the book worldwide. So, like, that was just, it was done on a very local level and very grassroots. And it just, I needed to get the word out more and I wanted to cast a wider net. So that's...
You're Steve Jobs in his garage.
Yes. Join me now. Invest early. Yeah. So that's kind of how it came about. And I was just fired up. I was like, no, we got to do this because it's got to be done right. And I will figure it out. And I talked to one author that wrote a children's book. And she gave me an hour's worth of advice, and then I ran with it, and the rest is like boom. It was like 3 months and boom, we were in production. Like, that was it. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I was on fire. I just wanted to do it. So
And you did. It happened so fast. Like,
Yeah.
I blinked my eyes and they were done.
yeah, I know. It's like the story it took me no time to write it. And then the illustrations, it just took like a month of going back and forth, and then I was just waiting for the books to come from the ocean, like waiting for the ship to come with my books. That was it. So, and here we are today.
Do you have any cool, like, behind the scenes tidbits you want to provide about the process of making the book, or the characters, or the art, or the story, or anything like that?
Yeah, so when you write a book, you have to get people to read it. And so I would write it, and then I'd send it to, like, people who worked for me, and, like, I'd send it to you, and then I'd try to read it out loud, and it was revised like 50 times. On the Google Doc that I was trying to write it on. And I wrote the book on my phone. And then I put it in a Google Doc and I shared it with everybody. And then I just sent it to the illustrator. Like, it probably took maybe 2 weeks, and then that was it. And then she ran with it, and she actually illustrated the book in 2.5, 3 weeks. And it was like the fastest thing ever. And I work with this amazing illustrator, Yuka Oiwa, and she's lightning quick. And I gave her little notes here and there, and I would say, I want these people to look like these people. So I would give her photos of people. So actually, if you look on one of the pages where I'm driving into the racetrack and you see a bunch of people, every one of those people, like, are real people in my life, and I wanted them to be a part of my book. So I was like, you need to illustrate them, and here's their photo, and this is the color they need to wear.
They're
so
kind of Easter eggs because you don't call them out right?
No,
But
I
they're in
don't.
there.
They're there.
Yeah.
And same thing with the cars. Like there's your car, there's Mark, our sound engineer from the podcast, like
Yeah.
his car is in there. And then all the cars spew out their own kind of smoke.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone picked their smoke.
I didn't pick my smoke.
You
You
didn't
offered
pick...
me to pick my smoke. Oh, well, what was your smoke?
Okay, well let's back up. So the smoke is you get your character spews out your own special kind of smoke. My smoke is cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
Like I love cherry blossoms, so when my car drifts, it doesn't spew out smoke, it spews out cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
So I gave Mark his option. He chose turtles.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I think that's the Hawaiian.
I
think
guess,
it's the Hawaiian turtle. Maybe that's the inspiration for that. I'm not sure.
I guess so. I don't know. We'll
Okay.
have to ask Mark.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then mine, I was like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So you're like, I know, pizza. So I have slices of pizza coming out of my smoke.
Yes, but I mean, like, it's so fitting because, like, number one, pizza's like my fave.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can eat pizza every
Maybe
day.
pizza should have been coming out of your smoke.
No. But you make the best pizza.
Okay.
And, like, the best pizza I've ever had. And, like, you're so good at it. And I always tell you should open, like, a pizza restaurant. And, like, anyone who knows you knows that your pizza's the bomb.
That ain't never gonna happen.
I might open one and, like, just tell you it's open.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Once you
work
go
there.
pro, it takes the joy out of it.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. But yeah, Benson's really good at making pizza. He has a pizza oven. And like I always ask him to do pizza for all our parties, and everyone just knows like, oh, he's got the pizza oven out. It's like he's so good at making pizza. So it's so fitting that it's pizzas. Like yeah. So his car drifts and pizzas come out.
Okay, so let's talk about what's next.
Yeah. So I move really quickly and I'm a very decisive person. And when I decided it to be a series, when I wrote book 1, I started writing lines for book 2 and 3. And like I would come up with things and I'd be like, oh, that'll be good later. So I would write things down at the bottom of my document, like, oh, and I'd write a couple sentences and I'd be like, for book 2, for book 3. So then as my book 1 went to print, I started writing book 2. And that took longer because first I did a first version of book 2 and it sounded too much like book 1. So then I scrapped it, started over. I went to Benson. I went to you. Like, oh, I was so frustrated because I had writer's block. But anyway, I finished book 2. So book 2 is actually in illustration right now, and the illustrators have inked it. Like they're almost done, and I'm so excited. And I actually hired a comic book illustrator. He does cars really good. His name is Kevin Yan, and his handle's Yanimator86, I think. Yeah, he's one of the podcast fans, but we hired him, so he's the second illustrator on my book. So him and Yuka are actually illustrating book 2.
That's gonna look so good.
I know.
With Yuka's talent at character creation and her
color.
color, and then Yan and his ability to like make really cool looking cars, cartoon looking cars.
So Yan's doing all the cars. He's actually just sent me right before we started recording. He sent me a finished page that he did, and it just looks so good because book 2 is car heavy. We've got 8 new cars in book 2, and it was just like. Yuka was like, that's a lot of cars. And I'm like, I think I need to call in a car specialist. So that's what I did. But book 2, we're going to be doing a book about a bully. So it's Sachiko and the bully. And so that was a really challenging one to write for me, but I'm excited about it. We're actually going to be doing a Kickstarter for the book in January 2023, and you guys will see more of that come up. But I would just stay tuned, and I'm excited. The book is pretty much good to go. Like once like the story's done and it's almost inked, then it's like. I feel like it's very close to being real.
Yeah.
So
it happens really fast.
It happens really quick in my world. And book 3, like, I gotta hear. So like I'm on a roll, but I gotta slow down because I gotta come home more, like earlier, and come
Uh-huh.
home and stop making you wait to eat dinner till 7, and so I'm gonna do 2, and then we'll do book 3 later.
Okay. That
But
sounds
but
good.
it's like bam bam 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So just keep the momentum. I'm
Okay.
I'm really excited.
Okay.
So yeah.
I think it's time to read the book. Do you have any last things you want to say?
I have a really neat neat team around me that like helps make these things possible,
Yeah.
but like I can't do anything without you, babe.
Thanks.
Like I realized like that I don't do anything crazy. Like I've never done anything in my life like defying the norm until I met you. And and it was funny because you wrote this post on Instagram and then I replied. And as I was replying, I was thinking, and I'm like, yeah, like I've never done anything outside the box until I met you. So like, and you always tell me like, no, it's all you, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think it's you are like my magic.
I think when I first met you, you were in a bunch of like bad situations.
Yeah, I had the drama.
And there were a lot of things in your life telling you you can't do this and you can't do that. And I think you just needed someone to tell you you can, and that's all it took.
I don't think it's that simple. You don't know. But it's not. It's much more, but I just take it. Know that I can't do anything like this without you. So, thank you, babe.
Thank you. So, we'll be back for closing, but in the meantime, let's do the book reading.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
All right, let's do it.
This is Sachiko Goes Racing, written by Nadine Hsu, illustrated by Yuka Oiwa and Christy Toyota Sue. Sachiko loved the racetrack. She loved drifting. Drifting is when a car slides around a turn. The race cars were pretty. Their tires spewed out smoke as they slid. Each car had their own special kind of smoke. Sachiko could watch all day. One day, Sachiko got to ride in her friend Ben's race car. It was so fast, so magical, so fun, and the best part was that his smoke looked like little pizzas. Sachiko's favorite. Sachiko didn't want to get out of the car. She wanted to ride with Ben all day. That night, Sachiko dreamed of racing her car at the racetrack. She woke up the next morning and made up her mind. Yep, she was gonna race her car. At school, she daydreamed about racing her car. And then she started worrying. What if I'm not good at racing? What if people laugh at me? What if I crash my pretty car? Her tummy hurt and her hands got sweaty. Was she ready? For many weeks, Sachiko prepared her car for the big race. She changed her oil, she tuned her engine to go faster, and added new sparkly paint and stickers. She put new tires and wheels on. The final touch was her name on the door. Her car was ready. It was the big race weekend. Sachiko woke up bright and early. She was scared about racing her car. So scared that it made her tummy ache. She opened her eyes big and jumped out of bed. Instead of worrying, she thought about all the fun she would have at the racetrack. That made her feel much better. For the first time, Sachiko drove her car through the big racetrack gates. She found her friend Ben and parked right next to him in the pit area. It was almost time. Sachiko watched the cars in front of her one by one, speed onto the track. Some skated easily around the track. Some spun out in a circle. And one crashed. Yikes! It was finally Sachiko's turn to race. Her tummy hurt and her hands got sweaty. Was she ready? She took a deep breath, opened her eyes big, and stomped on the gas pedal. Her car took off like a rocket. She twirled the steering wheel and her car magically slid. Her tire smoke looked like beautiful cherry blossoms. Sachiko slid her car all over the track like an ice skater. She was ready after all. Sachiko danced her pretty car around the racetrack till the sun set. She couldn't wait for the next race day. The end.
All right, and that was the reading. That was so fun. Thanks, babe.
Thank you, Honey Buns, for inviting me on.
Yeah, you you read the whole book for everyone to see, and I think that's really important because when I want to buy a book for a friend, if I'm like really interested and I want to like gift a book, or if I want to see if I want to buy the book for my own kids, they never let you see the whole book, and it's like, what's the big deal? Like, I now that I've seen the book, I've seen the art, I've read all the words, I know whether I want to buy it for my kids. And it's, it's not like I'm going to be like, I didn't buy you this book, kids, but you can watch this lady read it to you, So I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you want to buy the book, go to the website, sachikogoesracing.com, and I'll link that in the description of the video and the podcast. I'll put it on everything. I'll put it on my link tree and all that stuff.
Can you like tattoo it?
I will not tattoo it.
No.
I'll like pen tattoo it.
Every day.
But yeah, and you have an IG at Sachiko Goes Racing.
I do.
And so let us know what is available on your site for purchase.
Your car?
No.
Our other car.
No.
No. So of course you can get the book on my website, but I also have a collection of merchandise, and it's not just t-shirts. And
you have really cool merch. Very
I do.
unique.
I have dope merch, and like I said before, like I'm surrounded by really cool people, and one of the people I'm surrounded by is an AAPI mom, and she manufactures jewelry. So I got Sachiko Goes Racing jewelry, and so I got it made, and I gave her sketches, and I'm like, can you make this, this, and this? And she's like, yeah, done. And 3 months later,
you got Swarovski crystals on some of them. You can ice out your kids.
Yes. And so I designed some bracelets, and they're made in Italy, and they are 0.925 silver, plated in rose gold.
Rose
and
gold,
like,
your favorite.
Yes, and we got cherry blossom earrings, and we got charms, keychains.
A pin.
I didn't even wear my pin on this.
I forgot to wear my pin.
know.
I love that pin. I'm going to put it on like my bags.
But you guys just have to go to the website to see the pin. And, I have coloring kit for kids. There's so much stuff on there, but it's cool because like I'm so connected with local creative small businesses, and they're all AAPI owned, and they're either female owned or some AAPI dude that's really good at what he does. Shout out to No Creations, it's NGO, and he did my coloring kit, and it's like a wooden cutout of my car, and like kids can color it and make their own livery on the car. So I have that on the website. I mean, there's lots of fun stuff, but I just love that stuff. Like, it's fun because I've kind of always dreamt of doing that, so why not? So check out the website, sachikogoesracing.com, and
you can get books. You can get the book. You can buy one book. You can buy several books and get a discount.
Yeah, so bundle it and like get lots of books. Help spread the word about my social cause that we talked about today, because it's just so important. I just want to get the book in front of as many kids as I can.
Yeah.
those of you in the Midwest, my first sale, like my first store that has my books in their store is Toge Factory.
Shout out Toge Factory.
TF Works.
You guys are dope.
Oh my gosh.
Been
Thank
so
you
supportive
guys.
since day one. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, so my books are actually stocked there. If you're in the Midwest, go and hit up Toge Factory in what city are they in? I don't even know what city they're
I don't
in.
know.
That's bad. But anyway.
I only know like 2 or 3 cities in Illinois.
Yeah. We just know Shawano from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, so I mean, my books are slowly coming out to retail stores, but shout out, like, of course, my first retail store was a car store. Like,
Sick.
they do car parts, so it's awesome. So thank you guys for your support. It's awesome.
Well, and what else are you doing to get the word out?
Yeah, so I'm going to do author visits, and I actually have my next my first author visit in about a week, and I'm going to a school, and I read my book to a school, and I also create worksheets for the teachers that will affirm my lesson about females in racing and doing what we dream and being HAPA and AAPI, like worksheets about that to kind of teach their class after I'm done. So they're called author visits. So it's a thing like kids authors do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that across the whole county, I guess.
Southern
we'll see.
California.
SoCal.
So if someone is interested in having you do that for their kid or a school that they're interested in, how do they do that?
They can go to the website and just click contact. I have more information about my author visits there. And I have different packages for schools to pick because I could just come and talk to the whole school. I can go to every classroom. Like, there's just so many really cool things that we could do that, you know, bring the interaction as long as, like, however long the school wants to do the assembly and stuff. So I have that. And then I'm doing signings in retail stores, and then little fairs for the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are just some of the things.
Libraries.
But I basically have a book tour. And so that's my book tour is like going to schools. I'm going to be hitting up some libraries doing library readings and things like that. So we're just getting the word out.
Yeah.
And my goal is to become an author on Oprah's book list. So that's where I'm headed. So help me get there.
Yep.
Yes. So buy your books, buy a lot of books. I got to get to Oprah. So
sounds
that's
good.
it.
Hey, you were supposed to be done after you wrote the book. So people are waiting for season 2, babe.
Yeah, it's coming. You know what's funny is we already have, for the release of book 2, we already have our book release date. And then I thought about my Drifting Pretty podcast. And so I'm going to release episodes of the Drifting Pretty podcast in November. So I slated everything. So guys, like, Drifting Pretty podcast season 2 is starting to release now. So I have a few episodes already done from before that I was just kind of keeping in my back pocket. So I'm going to start dropping those. And then the Drifting Pretty girls and I are actually recording a lot in November and December. Okay. Just FYI.
Get it done. I'll be at the track.
Yeah, that's not, no. We'll be at the track. Oh my God. Anyway, but yeah. Help get the word out. Season 2 of the Drifting Pretty podcast is coming. Book 2 of the book series is coming. Things are crazy.
So busy.
Yeah. But all because of you.
No. Maybe I enable it.
Yeah, you're my enabler. Yeah, thank Benson for all this, guys. Like, yeah. But thank you, babe.
Yeah. I live vicariously through you. So anyway, I guess we'll close this. I am, like I said on that Instagram post, I'm so inspired by you. And I'm glad that you wrote this book so other people can be inspired by you too. And, this podcast is so much about preserving drifting culture. And it's taking things that have already happened and preserving it for generations to come. And what better way of preserving the culture than to inspire children when they're young, when they're babies, and teach
Yeah.
them from the beginning that they can chase their dreams. And if they want to go drifting, they can go drifting regardless of the color of their skin or their gender or any of that, right? And to just chase their dreams, and great things can happen.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
I'm so glad that you were bold enough to dream this dream of writing your book. And I know people are watching. I know like kids are going to be reading, and I know our kids are watching, and I think that is like one of the most important things to me. So thank you.
Thank you, babe.
So I guess we'll close this and we'll go eat some good food.
It's oh my goodness, we have to celebrate. It's our sound engineer Mark's birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mark.
Happy birthday, Mark. We'll put an embarrassing photo of you, right?
Yeah. I got a good one from his birthday.
Oh, perfect.
But so before we close really quick, we want to do a giveaway, right?
Yes.
Let's do a giveaway.
We love giveaways.
And right before we started recording this, I had a knife at your throat, and I was like, "You need to give away a book."
Yeah, I know.
So,
oh my gosh.
Well, so we're gonna post a giveaway. This is gonna drop on November the 2nd on Wednesday, and I'm going to post details about a giveaway on Friday the 11th. So that'll give you a good week and a half to listen to the podcast and buy a book, and it'll give you a chance to win, because you have to listen to all of this to be able to do the giveaway.
Yeah. And on the giveaway, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So if you or your kids have any questions for me about the book or my experiences, like raise your hand on the live and we'll call on you and we'll do some Q&A too.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. So thank you, honey buns.
Yep. All right. See you guys later.
All right. Take care, guys.
Are you a good storyteller and have a good drifting related story to tell? You got to fill out an application at podcast.sil80mania.com. In the upper right, there's a link called Storytime app. Fill it out, and I'll be looking forward to reading it. And if you're watching on YouTube and you enjoyed the podcast, do what my boys from Auto Factory Realize say and make sure to like that smash button and hit subscribe. Thank you guys for listening.